Hi everyone, this should be your 15th feed of your sourdough starter, so this is the time you're going to characterize it. So, the things you need to do to characterize your sourdough starter is you need to take your second jar. So I sent you 2 jars so that you could grow your starter in one and characterize it in the second. So you'll take your starter and you're going to take 2 tablespoons of it and put it in your second jar. And if that takes up your whole starter, that's okay. It's not, this isn't going to destroy it. You just need to measure it. So. Once you have your 2 tablespoons of starter, you're going to take 3 tablespoons of flour. So that's more than you've been using normally. And then you'll add 2 tablespoons of water. So mix that all together. And this will be thicker than it has been previously because you just added more flour relative to what you have been normally doing. So once you have it stirred, you want to make sure that you scrape the sides down pretty well so that you can hopefully see through the jar. And then you're going to mark sort of the baseline height. So mine looks like it's about here. If you aren't making a video of this, you can let it sit on the ground and then make sure you get eye level to mark the baseline height of it. So I marked my baseline heights. And now I'm going to put the top back on and wait every few hours. So every 3 hours or so, I'm going to come back and see the height. The other thing you need to do before you let it start going is to measure the baseline height with your ruler. So you and your group should decide whether you're doing this in inches or centimeters. I'm going to say mine in centimeters, and mine is 3.2 centimeters tall. So record that. Come back in 3 hours or so and record it again. You're going to do that multiple times until it stops growing, right? So this is going to, your sourdough is going to make gas, which is going to create more height. And you're going to let this keep going until it stops growing. So come back in 3 hours if you can. If you have to leave it overnight, that's fine too. But you want to make sure that you don't stop it before you see how high it gets, because that'll be what we call your maximum or your high tide height. So that's the first part of characterizing your sourdough starter. So my sourdough starter is finished with its characterization step now. You can see where I marked 211 and 608, that's when I started, and then when I noticed it had really started rising. You can see a little bit above where it's marked 608, like the high water mark. So I'm going to mark that, and that's where I'm actually going to measure my final recording. So you want to measure the highest point it got to. You should smell it one more time and characterize it using the aroma wheel. So this one smells kind of like porridge. And then the last thing you have to do is take a photo from the side, kind of as straight on as you can, and then a photo from the top as straight as you can. And that's characterizing your sourdough starter.